It's a good thing I am not at the putting tyre stage on, because there are 3 million little nails sitting in the ground now. Luckily, they're all made out of aluminium, although my right arm does not necessarily think that that was an easy task. That's 270 hand riveted rivets. Yeah, that is RSI for the win. Anyway, we now have both side panels on. So that's the last episode cliffhanger caught up on. Let's get into the next thing. Now, by rights, we should be ready to start chucking suspension on. And I'll be honest, the front is pretty much there, so we'll probably focus on that shortly. However, there is something I want to do now that I've got the side panels properly mounted, and it is the last big elephant in the room, because it's taken up the room. Now, I have hung it over the roll bar in this seductive manner for a reason. Now, as we've established, the car's 1,120 millimeters wide. That is pretty much consistent from the scuttle right to the very back. It's a fairly straight edged car. Now these, the way it's lined up, with the exception of some slight bowing that loves to happen, you'll see here, tuck in. Now that was always going to be part of my plan. We were going to scoop it over the top, click it in at the bottom, and that would help hold this whole rear clamshell assembly on. The only problem is, I think we alluded to this previously, now that the side panels are on, the clearance to actually tuck that in and then clip it round is completely gone, which makes this thing nigh on impossible to fit now. So I need to come up with a plan B, but there always was going to be a plan B for this thing because, well, it looks f***ing shit. And not just because of the Wonga bridging loan that goes between the middle. The shit actually comes from the side. Now bear in mind we're looking top down here. You'll see we've got these natty little stone chip guards that live on the back wheel arch, which are, you know, quite good, and, you know, they suit the general racy look of the car. The problem is when you get to the bottom, now you'll see here, maybe, that this actually bows out to a point and then tucks back down. On a Westfield, there's clearly a kink, probably for just a bit of clearance, that sits on the side panels and follows the form of the car all the way to more or less a scuttle. The problem is, I no longer have those sides. My sides are actually going to sit in here, and this is going to have to form onto it. An ideal situation would have been a nice straight cut and for that to be perfectly flat, in which case we could just dress it up and bolt it on. The problem is it doesn't. So I need to start looking into the finesse game here a bit. This is going to be very visible, and it doesn't really lend itself to looking like shit. So what we have here is a crescent. So realistically, that's the most prominent part of the side profile of the clamshell. So we want to make sure that we're being a bit true to that. So my choices are, this comes down and will form part of the securing method for it. As you can see, we've got a wee gap cut out here, but realistically we don't need it. This part is where the strength is. From this part down, well, really there's not a lot here that we need to consider, but what I do need to consider is not having great big gaps. My obvious solution is, if we just take the line here, which we know is going to be the side of the car, and project it down and cut, that means that we can get this back on properly. Once it's on, well, then we can start looking at how we hide the rest of the crimes. So, how to project down effectively? That'll do. I have done really well so far. I think we can all agree that to get this car to this stage is quite a feat, and I'd like to take some credit. However, we're at a stage where I struggle, and that is finesse. I can't weld my way out of this. We're in glass fibre territory again, and I'm not really good at it. As you can probably tell by the non-elastic stretching of the back of this clamshell, I don't really like it. I don't really have much talent in it, but this is the point of building a car. You don't just perfect talents you've got to learn new ones. So I have two options for how to address gap gate in the middle of the wing. One of them is probably going to be slightly easier than the other, but both will take a fair old amount of making it look good, and that's making me nervous. Looks like this. What we do is we cut all of this out here, and then we follow the line, basically this line, straight into the car, and we make it all basically go from here straight down, take all the flare out and just make it flat. So yes, there still will be, as I've kind of drawn here to demonstrate, a slight crescent following the wheel arch around, because it's got to kind of take this line around and then taper in, but more or less it will look like that. Nice and simple, slotted in, no flare at all. Option 2 looks a bit spicier. With this idea, we cut out all of this, and then we use the original lines where the flare comes out, and as you can see, project it to meet the car. So we will have a kind of crescent that's coming down here, meeting to this point, and then it's going to join that swage line, and then the rest of it's going to taper down. So there'll be two edges that meet the car here. And that's going to be, in my opinion, the spicier option. The other problem I've got with it, I don't know if it's going to look that good, even with my best talent. Am I making this too complicated? Should we just go and mate it flat-faced into the side of the car? Well, no, because if you look at the clamshell, it has a bit of flare anyway. You can see there's actually a crease line just before the wheel arch where it comes out to touch the wheel. There's various wee bits of bubbles and trim. It's not like a very basic low cost. And for me to just omit all that and blend into the car might make it look a bit obvious. And by a bit obvious, I mean you've took that off a decent car and put it in your own shanner. So I think in order to make that mate, we're going to have to keep the flare that the Westfield clamshell comes with and continue it onto the car. That option is my strongest. Now, how the bloody hell do I make that happen? It's an interesting feeling when you're standing at the start of an idea that you've not really got any concept if it's going to work or not. You're just on the precipice of either genius and a plan that's going to look really great, or an unmitigated disaster. So we're going to mix up some glass fibre and settle the debate. I just want this to work.
It's good, isn't it? I think it's really catchy. I think it's really good.
Okay, this has turned out way better than I had given it credit for. Again, I'm not very good at this, so I wasn't holding up a lot of expectation, but, well, here's what we've done. First coat with the cardboard in the back, just to give it its form. Then after removing it, I found the line that we had made with the cardboard, and we've trimmed it back. Second coat on the back, we've then added the reinforcement, but it doesn't really matter, you're not going to see it. Nice big thick layers of glass fibre, just to second skin it. And then, as you can see, we've got a third layer on here, still setting. That's just to sort of add a wee bit extra, fill in a few gaps, because obviously there are some ripples. The next stage for that, as you can see, the back's still sitting a wee bit proud, but we've still got our edge there for the front. So I'm just going to run another cut once all this sets up here, and then we're going to get the glass fibre filler out, give it a sand down and see if we can get it looking kind of smooth. Now, that still gives me the task of what to do with the rest of the bits here, but we'll come to that. Crucially though, I know that when this goes on, it's going to look flush. So this guy is finally starting to get to a point where, well, it may actually look kind of decent. I do have other bits of glass fibre to do, namely the scuttle. But this is dull. Even I will say this is dull. And this episode needs progress, proper progress. So, we've been promising building a car up for a while. Let's say we get into that. You hold. Right.
Do you want ultra close up cam? There you go, perfect.
Okay, so we've put the first side on, and that's told us what we need to think about for the second side. So obviously we're going to have problems with bolts. I've just bought generic bolts. We've had to chop down the bolt that goes in here because it is too long to actually get through the hole. So we've measured up on that side the actual length it needs to be and chopped it down. There could be an exercise here in chopping all these down, but realistically, there's no point.
We now know that the left side, we know what they need to be, so just buy the right ones.
I'll do that. We'll probably chop down this one because by all accounts, as you can see on the other side, that is way too long and it's exposed, so that will corrode and cause me problems. What we've also got on the shock absorber is misalignment washers, because these are rose jointed top and bottoms. And anyone who's been a fan of Tools and Track since day one will remember when we did the TVR custom made drop links. This was a thing for those, and it's also a thing for this because A, they will rattle about in here anyway, so we need to take up some slack. In fact, that was actually why we bent that bracket in the back the first time I test fitted these when we put weight in it, because it immediately deflected to that side and then all the weight was on one side and it bent. Call back to an episode that nobody will remember, but there we go. So I've put these on the other side and we've still got 2 mil of gap because I don't know what these are designed for, but clearly not this low cost. So we've got a wee 2 inch? 2 millimeter.
I was going to say, that's a big washer you've got there.
Small 2 millimeter Packer washer just to go in there and take up, which makes it quite possibly the most arrogant, annoying assembly to put in. And I really hope I don't have to take these on and off too often, but yeah, you need to fiddle about and put it on.
Should we mention the potential here for these shocks going to have to come back off and get rotated after Peugeot shock gate?
After Peugeot gate, because it is a Peugeot. You're not admitting it's a Peugeot.
Start. I'll stop this video.
So in the Fiat van, we put the shocks on upside down because it was the most logical way to fit them. What that actually transpired to be was the dumbest way to fit them.
Because no damping.
They don't do any damping when they're upside down. Now, I'm putting a big assumption that we can invert these because, well, the logic is, so any weight that's the opposite side, the spring side that's on the road, you want that weight to be as low as possible for obvious handling reasons. So the majority of the shock body being at the top like this means that your sprung weight's as low as possible. If we put it upside down,
that's not ideal. That's a lot of weight.
That weight's all on the wheel,
yeah,
which isn't great. So putting these upside down, i.e. inverted shocks, is a good thing. Whether or not they're going to work upside down, given this fun we had with Peugeot Gate, is another matter.
It would make sense though, because
they're designed to go on upside down.
If I remember right though, all the... I can't remember if the Spitfire shocks were that way round or if they were the other way. I think they might have been the other way. Oh no.
Oh no. Oh dear. Anyway.
We're going to find out.
We're going to promptly find out, because if it doesn't work, we'll need to take them off and flip them around, but it's just 2 bolts, so it is worth the risk. I mean, see, if we were being really smart, we'd actually go research and find out. I can't be arsed, so.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, are these ones gas pressurised? Or are they just oil filled? But I think if these are just oil filled,
if somebody that's watching this is really smart and they know the answer to that, let us know in the comments, but this is what I'm going to do.
We're going to try this.
We'll see.
We'll just try it.
But before we wrap up the episode, we're going to show you the wheels.
Look at that.
Look at that. Look at that. It's good, isn't it? It's good. It, you know.
Does things.
And the jockey thing underneath is doing the job too.
It is.
It's not collapsed yet. That's positive. So one last thing just before we wrap up. Wheels. Buried the lead for that for long enough. Now bear in mind, the first time we use this, it's auto test. So I want something that's narrow, precision, so big racy wide wheels are out. And obviously you've got to have genuine wheels these days. These are genuine wheels. These are the lesser known Bridgestone T's, 14 by 6. Nice small perky wheel for a nice small perky car. They'll do. Obviously there will be more wheels for different applications, but these need a refurb. We know they need a refurb.
These need a refurb.
They need a refurb. So let's just make sure they fit all the calipers first, because I did buy 14s and then I was like, ooh, but these are the big brakes for the MX-5. So need to prove the concept and make sure these fit.
You could do with a refurb.
I'll fucking refurb you.
They just fit.
They just fit. They'll do. And they actually sit quite nice in the arch as well. So we'll probably stick with that tyre profile, which is like 145 or something. I don't actually know what size of tyre that is. I still don't. 16560.
They are a bit skinny.
And they might have lacquer peel to a point where they actually scrub and... That's lacquer. That is the powder coat.
Is that a bit of powder coat that's came off?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
They need a refurb, but crucially, I think the point we need to make here is they fit. On that point, patreon.com/toolsandtrack. That is all these people running up who pay for things and are awesome. Like, bell, subscribe, all that shit, so that me and Daniel are happy. And until next weekend, guys, drive safe. Now, as it happens, I've hung it in this seductive manner because it proves a point. Now, the car is more or less consistently 1,100, you can't see me,